So I just want to do a small video kind of going over the process of my rigs throughout the years. So I started these in 2017 and am still kind of modifying my current one, but I just wanted to take people through because people keep asking if I'll ever sell my files or anything, and I have no plans of ever doing that, but this will kind of show my reasoning because just the amount of time I've put into them. So in 2017, I started this design. Um, I think I printed this like once or twice, and it would just failed every time. Yeah, you'd have servos here. The servo horns come over, and then they would connect to bars that would move stuff. Um, these had a U joint inside, and then bars would connect to these. This was kind of just built off of stuff I could find at the time. I mean, when I started these, there was barely anything. Now there's all kinds of uh, different versions and stuff online. I'll show those later. Um, so from here, I started changing my design up a little more. Um, all these are different. I got rid of the channels, moved the servos slightly. I still had the ball joints on at the time for this one. And the way these worked is you'd have stuff connecting here and on here, two tabs for the left and right, up and down. And the downside of this is you have four servos. So you have two per eye. So if you have a lousy servo, you're going to have a droopy eye or a slow eye or something. So I wanted to get rid of that, put the turning and the up and down on just single servos. So that's what I did eventually when I started coming up with my own design. Because of that, I had to switch to a two-piece system to do my up and down. That, to this day, I still believe is my biggest flaw for this rig, because that's adding the swivel point on the outside of the rig, which makes it to where it can't fit in heads as good. And I will show that in a model that I made in this video. So the next one, what is this one? This kind of went through the eyes that were from my original rig, just kind of holes, and there would be holes here that wires would go through. Nothing too crazy on that. Version 3. This is where I started doing like the E-frame style kits. It was kind of a interesting design. I printed this one I think once or twice, and it was kind of crap. I mean, it worked, but I just didn't like it as much. I would have had to hollow this whole area right here just so that servo could go down. Yeah, I think this design, I just had this really wide. So I did fix that in another version. But this version, so I did thin that out. What it does though is on the eyelid, it would connect here, go over, and connect here. And then the eyelids go around. And then also on this one, I redesigned the eyes. So these would be a solid ball with a tab coming off the back, which so like that. And then a bar would come down that you would see clip in place. And then, yeah, that would swivel. And then you would have a servo right here that would make that go up and down. I actually did make one or two of this style. And this style actually is a pretty nice rig. I do like this one because it did work really good. Let's see. Perfect rig. Then I went back to my two-piece design. I mean, the upside of that last design is it eliminated the outside swivel. I ended up going back to this design, having that outside, and as I said, that's the biggest flaw on these rigs. This actually also shows some of my old eyes. These had a glass chip in them. These were a pain to do only because I would have to clear coat them and make sure to tape all this inner off just so the glass chips could go in. Those actually made a really nice looking eye, but my new eyes are just a lot nicer. And as I'm showing these, every single one of these is different. It's just small tweaks because I would have to print these and test them out to see if the servo's off or if it's too far forward, too far to the left, right. And I don't think people understand that. And then this is where it got into my current, kind of how I do my eyes a little bit. I don't really need to show that much. I started trying to design a new piece that would hold the eyes just because of how I was designing them. Yeah, that didn't work. That lasted a couple prints and I just did not like the outcome of it. And again, difference in all of these. And I think these ones, like, I was just adjusting some of the tips, the gaps. So yeah, just changing things here and there. Let's see, simplified classic. And then this was getting closer to my final design. Again, these are all different. I think this one I actually thinned the whole rig out because I did have room to do it, which made it a little easier to fit into some heads. At this point, I eliminated the solid eyelid. I went to vacuum forming. So at that point, I had to design a new piece, which is this. And as you can see, I had to do a lot of versions of it to make sure that everything was good. I started having issues 3D printing it, so I eventually just made a mold and I cast that out now. It works really good and it's a lot stronger than a resin 3D print. And then this will take me to my current one. Now, this is where I'm going to kind of explain my other big flaw in this rig, and that is my tie rod U-joint stuff. So when the servo turns this bar bends out. So it starts creating a lot of pressure and tension on the servo. And when you get people buying these that think they're toys, you're going to burn that servo out a lot faster, grinding the gears and all of that. And that was another reason why I kind of stopped selling them, is people just, they didn't treat them like a kind of a collector's thing. And that's essentially what they were for, is, you know, making your Chucky pretty much a one of a kind almost. So, you know, treat them like toys. Yes, things are going to break, and then they blame me for it breaking, and it's not my fault. You were treating it like crap. So, but yeah, I mean, so my kind of solution to that, I was thinking about going to a gear system. The problem with that, just like where that bar bends, when this turns, this is going to move forward. So I literally have to limit the travel of the eyes to make sure that that doesn't get too far. My other solution would be slightly bending that. So, but that way it's hitting good, turning left or right, which I could do, but I'll do it in maybe some free time next couple months or so, because I'm in no rush of making these anymore. So, but going to what I was saying for that flaw with those, So this would not fit in my slappy head that I modeled. So I modeled this guy up and it wouldn't fit. So I had to actually create a E-frame rig that would fit inside of it. So yeah, and as you can see, so this eyelid, like I was saying on that one, comes out and over. So I'd probably have to just create this piece now to resin it, and then make a mold of it to where then I could just do my vacuum formed eyelids. But yeah. But then again, so at the time when I was creating all of this, there was not a lot of animatronic rigs out there for like 3D printing and stuff. And that was in 2017. Now there's a lot more. I mean, you just search 3D printed animatronic eyes, and there's a couple designs out there now, and some of them are free. I mean, free STLs right there. And this is why I highly suggest when people ask if I'll sell my files and whatnot, is I tell them, you know, do your research, reference these, because I mean, if you design and make your own, you can take more pride in it than copying someone else's design. The first rig I was designing was based off of this, and I completely changed it to where I made my own design with the two-piece system. So yeah, I mean, if I was to design a new one, it would probably be closer to this one, but I would probably change it slightly. I like my single eyelid, but then again, I could probably design it to where they're on a single shaft to where I wouldn't have two servos running the eyelids. But yeah, I mean, this is the one I would reference probably now, just because it's a nice design. I've actually printed one that was similar to it, but it was like really small. So, but yeah, I mean, I just figured I'd kind of show my process I had to go through to get to where my animatronic rigs are now compared to the beginning. I mean, they're fun to, you know, learn about. And, you know, if you're just wanting to get into it, I mean, the fact that some of these are free makes it nice because you can learn how they're designed, built. I mean, this one's cool because it's got upper and lower lids, similar to my original design. So, but yeah,